What's up, everybody? You're tuned in to the Cris
Ammo.
podcast, episode 180. Big Energy Monday. Hope everybody's having a good Monday. Whatever you're doing, you're at home, you're at work, whatever you're doing, we appreciate y'all tapping into the live stream. We are live on TikTok today. This is our first time being live on TikTok. So if you're on TikTok watching, we appreciate y'all jumping in the live with us, especially, and of course those on X and YouTube. We appreciate you too. If you're listening on the playback on YouTube, we appreciate you too, and Spotify and all that good stuff. But we got a full plate of topics to talk about. We going to talk about this Paul Finebaum, Arch Manning thing, and him going in on Cam Newton. We're also going to talk about some boxing news. Caitlin Clark, Maul's favorite person, this new Drake single, uh, and then give our top 10 college player rankings and top 10 fantasy football QBs and our Carnival Cruise new rules topic that we're going to talk about. So before we get into that, Maul, how you feeling, man?
Man, feeling good, man. Excited to be on TikTok. Our first episode on TikTok, man. So excited about that. Overall, man, it was a great weekend, great holiday weekend, man. Enjoyed some barbecue, enjoyed some fireworks, man. Enjoyed some relaxation, man. So feeling good, man.
Good, good, good. Yeah, I'm feeling good too, man. Can't complain at all. Yesterday was a good day. You know what I'm saying? Celebrated a co-worker of ours retirement. You know,
Yeah,
shout out to Kelly, man. It was a really good turnout. Everybody showed up for her, man. That just shows how much of a good person she was. So shout out to Kelly, man. But all right,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
Let's get into these topics, man. Your man Paul Feinbein, man. He's out here wilding and making hot take claims and going in on Cam Newton. So I'm gonna play this clip for you, and then I'll get your reaction on the other side.
So
Paul Finebaum, what are your expectations for Arch?
The absolute roof. I think there's a reasonably good chance that Arch Manning will be sitting on the front row in New York at the Heisman ceremony. That's assuming that his team does what it's supposed to do and compete for not only the SEC, but for the national championship. And I really believe they will. I think Steve Sarkisian, who's one of the most amazing play callers I've ever seen, made a critical mistake late in the year. He was way too loyal to Quinn Ewers, who was banged up and was really ineffective. Had Arch Manning been instituted in the second half of that game, like Nick Saban did a couple of years ago with Tagovailoa, I think there's a reasonably good chance that Texas would have beaten Ohio State and won the national championship. They're very capable of doing it again this year. I believe also that Arch Manning is the best college football quarterback we have seen since Tim Tebow entered the scene in 2006.
Now, hearing that, do you agree with Paul Feinbein? Do you think that it's way too early to say this because we've only seen a sample size of Arch Manning, and we know the hype of Arch Manning because he is a Manning, and he plays for Texas. But do you think Paul Feinbein is getting ahead of himself?
Look, I understand the excitement with Arch Manning. Just with that name alone, you're always going to have some kind of excitement towards it. And the Manning family is kind of synonymous to being like, the football family. You know what I mean? So, Peyton, Eli, and obviously their dad. But at the end of the day, I feel the excitement with Arch. You know what I mean? Texas has probably one of the better teams going into this year for national title hopes. You know what I mean? They're bringing in, a lot of great talented guys up in there. So there is a lot of high expectation for Arch. Obviously, you would want to have a little bit of controlledness to the hypeness level, but we all know in today's society, man, when people have this level of excitement for a player, man, they're going to go all in. So I'm not mad at it. At the end of the day, it all comes down to if Arch is able to handle those circumstances with all the noise and all the hype going behind him and this team. I know there's a lot of expectation for him as a player and this team as a whole. So I would like to have it in a controlled manner, but at the end of the day, Paul Feinbaum's going to say what he wants to say. And if you're going to have this level of excitement for Arch, I'm not mad at it. You know what I mean? It all comes down to his performance at the end of the day.
Now, do you agree with him? Because he said Tim Tebow. Now, there was a lot of discourse because people was bringing up people like Cam Newton and Joe
Yeah,
Burrows, and
absolutely.
felt like it was a little bit of disrespectful to those guys. So, do you think Tim Tebow? I know you're a Florida Gator man, but do you
Yeah, for
feel
sure.
like it was disrespectful for Cam Newton not to get mentioned, or a Joe Burrow, or anybody else that you can think of.
I don't. I know when people are kind of talking, you forget to say certain names. People view it as a sign of disrespect. I don't think it was a sign of disrespect. I think it was just the first name that popped into his head. You know what I mean? Like, we all know Tim Tebow is one of the greatest college quarterbacks to ever play football. I get it. His NFL career was a totally different story, but at the end of the day, man, I don't take it as a slight of disrespect. We all know how great Cam Newton was. We all know how great Joe Burrow was. We know how great Johnny Manziel was, and going forward, Baker Mayfield and all that. So I don't take it as a slight of disrespect. I think people get a little bit too sensitive with topics like that, and people not saying certain names and stuff like that. Look, I get it. You might be a bigger fan of Cam Newton than you are Tim Tebow, so you might feel a little slight because that's your guy. I get it, but at the end of the day, I don't think it was purposely meant to be disrespectful at all. I don't think so.
You say that, but then this was said.
Wikipedia, but I actually covered Cam Newton at Auburn.
Well, I remember.
And I was actually quite aware of why he left the University of Florida. You might call Urban Meyer. He'll be happy to tell you that Cam Newton, because he told me, is the worst guy he has ever dealt with in his college career. Now, that's saying a great deal, considering some of the 30 for 30s have been done on a few of his other players. But I just wanted to make that point. Urban likes to whitewash history with the best of them. But the point being that Cam Newton got kicked off the team, as you know. He went to Blaine Junior College. He only played one meaningful year. And on the final play of Cam Newton's career, Gene Chizik told me this, by the way, the former Auburn coach. He told Cam Newton to take a knee in the national championship game. Cam Newton decided to be Superman and tried to dive over the pile against Oregon, and he failed, nearly fumbling the ball, and they had to kick a field goal to win the national championship. I bring up all this ancient history. Cam Newton was selfish. Tim Tebow was the consummate team player. He led that team to a national championship on his own. He participated in 2006 with Cris League.
Now, with hearing Paul Finebaum saying that, do you still feel the same way?
All right. Well, yeah, I could understand the sense of like disrespect in that way, but like, there have been stories. A lot of people have said certain things about Cam Newton. Like, look, I'm not going to sit here and act like I know Cam Newton. I'm not going to sit here act like I was in those locker rooms or whatever. If that's the perception of him, that's the perception of him. I know there's been a lot of conversations, especially certain conversations about Cam Newton with the Carolina Panthers, and some of the actions he did during the Super Bowl. That some people question his heart and stuff like that. I would tend to hold off on situations like that. Look, at the end of the day, did Cam Newton get taken off the Florida team and then ended up having to transfer to Auburn, and he had one great year? Yes, that is true. But at the end of the day, that 1 year was a hell of a year. You know what I mean? And then he turned out to be a excellent pro. You know what I mean? He took a Carolina Panthers team who had a memorable season. Like they had that was probably one of the better seasons the Carolina Panthers history. Unfortunately, they didn't win that Super Bowl. But at the end of the day, like, you can't disrespect Cam Newton as a quarterback. Like, maybe personality wise, there may be some things in question. But then again, I'm not in that room, so I can't really have an honest say about any of those conversations.
All right, man. Look, man. I know how I feel about, but I think Paul Finebaum, I'm not gonna question his SEC allegiance. I know he's super SEC. That's all he preaches is SEC is the best in the world. So I know he's gonna big up anybody from the SEC. And look, we all know Tim Tebow was one of the greatest college football players to ever play the game. What he did at Florida can't be undersold. But I do think that it was a slight disrespect to slight players like Cam Newton, what they did and what he did at Auburn. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not knocking anything Tim Tebow did, but I would say that he had way more better players at Florida than Cam Newton had at Auburn. You probably, maybe the running backs, Ronnie Brown and Cadillac Williams was probably like their best, other good players on that Auburn team. But the wide receivers were cool. They weren't great. They had a good defense. Nick Fairley, he was a really good defensive tackle. But and then to cite Urban Meyer, like, yes, Urban Meyer is one of the greatest college quarterbacks, but to ask him about somebody's personality,
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
asking Urban Meyer. I'm
No, I'm
sorry.
not. Nah, he's the last person I want to ask for sure. Yeah, that's
I,
real. That's
I'm
real.
not asking. I'm not. I'm taking what Urban Meyer says with a grain of salt. If he says Cam Newton is the worst football player that he's ever coached, yeah, okay, Urban,
Yeah.
yeah,
There
okay,
were some other characters like, Aaron Hernandez that
yeah,
was on the
yeah.
team. You know what I mean? There's some other guys on there that might have been a little bit more of an issue, but
I'm
yeah,
just
I hear what you're
saying,
saying.
like, come on, man, like, and him to cite him as a source, like, okay, this ain't Nick Saban we talking about. If Nick Saban says that, you're gonna take that. You're gonna take that with some validity because that's Nick Saban. You know what I'm saying? But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm not taking what what Urban Meyer
No,
said.
100%.
But and
Yeah.
then to get personal, he didn't have to get personal. Like, what I'm saying, and single out Cam Newton. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't just his name that people were voicing. Hey, you forgot this guy. You forgot this guy. It was just like he zeroed in on Cam Newton. It was just like, oh, he's the terrible person, and this that. You still can't discount what he did. Yes, he got kicked out of Florida, but in Blaine College, guess what he did? He won a national championship. Then went to Auburn. Guess what he did? Won a national championship. So you can't take that away from Cam Newton. And as
Mm-hmm.
far as a physical specimen, he's like one of one. We've never seen anything like Cam Newton until like maybe now. And even then, they have not duplicated what he's done. Maybe Josh Allen. That's it. Josh Allen is probably the evolution of what Cam Newton probably could have been. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If he had probably a
Yeah.
little bit different coaching or whatever here and there. But Josh Allen is probably the evolution of like what Cam Newton really, really could have been with arm strength and running the football. And he was literally running people over. He was a defensive tackle who played quarterback or a defensive
Yeah.
end who played
Yeah.
quarterback. So we've never seen anything like Cam Newton. And then he said, oh, he's a 1-year wonder. Okay. Joe Burrow was a 1-year wonder, but we still think that's one of the greatest college quarterback seasons ever. You know what I'm saying? And he put together. Yes, he has weapons galore, and half of those weapons are superstars in the NFL. But still, you still can't take away what Joe Burrow.
No, you can't. You
Baker
can't.
Mayfield had a great college year. Kyler Murray, Manziel. Like, there's some other quarterbacks who have had great seasons and great years that they put in college. Like, you can't discount
Yeah,
those guys.
Tua's, all them Jalen
Jalen
Hurts. Yeah.
Hurts, like,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
like he just kind of made it was like, oh, it's Tim Tebow. It's like, nah, there's been some quarterbacks since Tebow that killed it. Like, it is.
Absolutely. I think Tebow, how many championships he had? Two or three?
I
I'm a
think
Gator
two.
fan. I should know this.
I think two.
Two. Like, at the end of the day, like, there are a lot of, like, I know maybe Paul Finebaum has like a special place in his heart for Tim Tebow, especially just, kind of the character that he is, always preaching God, who was always about that team. You always had that infamous moment when they lost that one game and he goes in the press conference and he promised he would not lose a game. He promised this is going to happen. And it happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that, those Florida Gator teams was some of the best teams to ever grace a college football field. You know what I mean? And we haven't really recaptured that kind of glory since, Tim Tebow and Urban Meyer left.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at the end of the day, like, and even I understand the whole conversation with Urban Meyer, and you only can take him with a grain of salt. But at the end of the day, Urban Meyer is probably one of the greatest college football coaches of all time. And we can't sit here and complain about it. He done a lot of great things at Utah, went to Florida, won the national championship, went to Ohio State. We obviously know what he did there with that program and revitalizing that program to being back to where it is. So at the end of the day, man, I like, does Paul Finebaum always go on like these like certain rants where it seems like he can get disrespectful? Absolutely. That's just like his calling card, kind of like a Skip Bayless or a Stephen A. Smith. You just get accustomed to it at the end of the day. But in reality, though, I think the majority of people know who Cam Newton was, know who Baker Mayfield and all these other guys outside of Tim Tebow. And we know the greatness that they presumed within their careers in college.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right, man. Well, shout out to Paul Finebaum, man. Yeah, he's good entertainment. We ain't got Skip Bayless
Yes,
on national TV no more. So,
yeah, What's up with him? Is he does he still does his like little YouTube shit?
Yeah, he got a show. He
YouTube.
still does his show. I don't know if you've seen
Yeah.
this one dude. He does the perfect impression of Skip Bayless.
Oh, I see him all the time because I see him always repost under like Skip Bayless anytime he does a little rant
And
that
the
he
way he
does.
had
So.
his hair in that hat. He's like, what?
Yeah, it'd be like those guys that be mimicking Stephen A. Smith and all that stuff like that. I think they did like a little skit together. I think
so
if
too.
I'm not mistaken.
He is.
Yeah.
He did a really good Skip Bayless. But
Mm-hmm.
all right, man, let's talk a little boxing, dog. Now, it's been announced some fights that are coming up. Tyson Fury, he's going to be fighting Usyk in a trilogy, I think in April. You got Benavidez, he will be fighting I think his name is Marcus Yarde in November on the big card with the Brian Norman Jr. and Haney fight. Also Bam Rodriguez is on that card. I forgot the last person that was on that card, but it's supposed to be a real big card in November. Then of course you got the Roach fight coming up. You got the Shakur fight. We'll give our predictions on Shakur on Wednesday. But how you feeling about some of these announcements that have come out? You know what I'm saying? The Turk, he's trying to, make sure boxing is still alive.
Nah, man, y'all know me. I'm always Team Turk. I know there's been certain circumstances where I've even said it. Like I think the New York event was a little bit of a dull. I didn't like the way they kind of constructed that whole event. They put on a perception like it was going to be a certain type of event, but in reality, it wasn't. Just certain things. But I do appreciate Turk and everything that he's done. He's trying to bring back the substance of boxing, bring back that aura of boxing that used to be there. We can tell it's missing a little bit, especially people who aren't like boxing enthusiasts like me and you who love the sport. But as far as like these announcements, like I'm happy to see Benavidez finally get an announcement. Obviously, it's not the fight that a lot of people would want to see him in, but at the end of the day, he has to stay active. I'm not mad at it. I'm gonna be excited for it, especially the card that it's on, especially with the Brian Norman, Devin Haney fight. I am looking forward to that fight. This might be the first Devin Haney fight in a minute that I've been maybe be looking forward to. I'm excited to see how Brian Norman, combats, Devin Haney's defensive style. At the end of the day, Bam, I think you kind of said it, off camera about, maybe them kind of setting up the anyway fight with Bam. That could be a potential. So I would be excited for that. But overall, man, I'm trying to take it, day by day with all these boxing fights. There's a lot of stuff coming up. So my main focus is I think Amanda Serrano and that Katie Taylor fight, I think that one's going to be a really, really solid fight. I know they've had a couple bangers, their last two. So I am looking forward to that fight. But obviously, all my eyes and attention right now are currently on the Frank Roach Tank Davis fight, the one that's coming up. I think that's the biggest one coming up. Obviously, before the big one with Crawford and Canelo. But yeah, I'm just taking it one fight at a time, man, because there's just so many to look forward to. As well as UFC. You got another big UFC fight. I know it's not boxing, but it's just another fighting event that is coming up big next week. So I'm just taking it, fight by fight. Obviously, I'm very excited to see Shakur Stevenson and see the progression of him and seeing if he can stay on that trajectory like his last fight, as far as like staying active, using his power, being smart about it, but at the end of the day being active, because we all know the type of talent he is. And then hopefully he can get the big fight, if he performs really well. So yeah, man, just taking it day by day. But I think as far as like scheduling wise, I think boxing is in a healthy place. It's exciting to see Tyson Fury back. You know what I mean? I'm not surprised that he did come back. Did I want to see the Usyk fight? I don't know. Like at the end of the day, they've been all really close fights. So I'm not saying it's not going to be a good fight. I know some people may anticipate it. Maybe they should have did the Anthony Joshua fight. I know everybody's been kind of waiting to see when that would happen. But Anthony Joshua can never fulfill what he needs to fulfill to kind of make that mega fight. But at the end of the day, man, I think it's in a great spot. I'm just glad we're getting some of the great cast of characters back, like Max Kellerman, Jim Lampley. I'm really excited to see Max Kellerman talk about boxing. I think it's been really, really refreshing. So it seems like we're heading in the right direction. It's just we got to get that aura back And hopefully with some of these next fights, man, boxing can get back as far as like on the mainstream of being popular. And I hope this is what the sport I think deserves, man. I think it's in a healthy position right now.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think it's still in a good position. We got some good potential fights coming up, starting off this weekend. You got you got fights coming up in the next coming weekends, and then
Yep.
all the way up until the Canelo and Crawford fight. You know what I'm saying? And then after that, this November card, is going to be a good card after that. And then going into next year, we got some potential fights. And the year's not over. There's still some fights that can be set up. And we'll see if they still set up Charlo versus Caleb Plant. I know Caleb Plant lost his last fight, but we'll see if that happens. See what Inoue does after his next fight. Does he fight Carrington, Shushu Carrington? Does he fight him? Does he fight any of the other big dogs? So I'm interested. I'm interested to see what happens next in these next few months of
Yeah.
boxing, man. See how some of these fights go. Like I said, the big one, Canelo Crawford, that's the big one. But Lamont and Tank is a big one too, because this could propel Lamont Roach to some superstardom if he can pull off another upset. Because the first fight, everybody wasn't expecting that. We weren't even expecting that. We was at a point where we was like, we ain't gonna watch it. And,
Yeah, we were
mad.
disrespectful to Rose.
Yeah, we were.
I apologize
Yeah.
on that Monday.
But
You know
at
what
the
I mean?
same time, he garnered our respect. You know what I'm saying? And now we'll
Yeah.
be tuned in. Don't disappoint us, Rose.
You know what? The one thing that I am surprised, I didn't even mention this fight, is I'm surprised Tyson Fury announced the Usyk fight, because Usyk has a big fight coming up in a couple weeks with Daniel Dubois, who's been amazing his last couple fights.
Man.
So I'm kind of surprised he announced that there is going to be a trilogy, because there's no guarantee that Usyk is going to win that fight.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, he is the favorite going into it, well deserved. He's been amazing, but there's no guarantee that he can win. I think Daniel Dubois has a decent chance to win that fight. So not to disrespect, I didn't mean to disrespect it by skipping over it with the Frank Roach and Tank fight. We all know that fight is very huge coming up. So I am a little surprised. I'm surprised he didn't wait until after the fight to announce who he was gonna fight, because he could very well fight for Daniel Dubois. I'm assuming he wants to fight for the title. I'm assuming he's not coming out of retirement just to fight Usyk. I'm assuming he's expecting Usyk to have the title. If Usyk doesn't have the title, then would you be surprised if he switched it to Dubois, or does he just want his lick back with Usyk?
I don't know. I think it depends on how Usyk loses. I think if Usyk gets knocked out, then we might be talking about Fury's like, I want Dubois. I don't even want to fight Usyk now because the steam is off.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if Usyk would want to do that fight. He might even invoke his rematch clause. He might be like, I want a rematch. I want to fight. I should be in front of the line. I should get my rematch. So I don't know. I think this was kind of a weird way of announcing this. Like you said, like, why is he automatically getting Usyk right away? Because Usyk could lose and get his rematch. Dubois could lose and get his rematch. Like who's to say like Tyson Fury should get the first dibs? Like I know he's a ticket seller as far as the UK goes, whatever, but still, that doesn't mean he should get that. Hell, they should decide, if anything, go ahead and put him in the ring with not Tyson, but Anthony Joshua, like whatever, like
or even you said like you were impressed with Deontay Wilder, maybe do that route. I don't know, because it just seems weird, and then especially how controversial boxing can be. You're putting this whole perception like, all right, the fix is in. Like, you know what I mean? Maybe they're just gonna give Usyk this fight, because we've seen it with Usyk before. He got hit with that punch in the gut, and we all assume that should have been a knockdown. You know what I mean? But things went the other way. So what I mean? It's just weird. Like I just find the timing to be like, you jumping the gun a little bit too soon. I think if you would have waited, maybe right after the fight and then announce it, like you could have did like kind of what UFC did. You walk your next opponent into the ring, you do the little face off, you can do some stuff like that. You can fly him out to the Dubois fight. I won't be surprised if Tyson Fury is at the Dubois Usyk fight. I'm pretty sure I expect him to be there, especially with this announcement. So it's just weird. It just seems like jumping the gun type of thing, because now you're going to assume that if it's any type of a close fight with Usyk, Usyk is gonna get the upper hand because they are anticipating to set up this Fury and Usyk fight. So it just kind of shows that Dubois is going to have to knock out Usyk, and he can't have it be a close decision because he knows he's not going to get that decision.
And that's why I don't understand why would you announce this, because you already know the stain on boxing from casual fans anyway. Like, think this sport is corrupt, so you're gonna announce a fight in April. So now everybody's gonna, because if it's a close fight and some people are like, oh no, I think Dubois won that one in the last few rounds. I think he got that, and they give it to Usyk. It's like, the fix was in.
Yeah, fix was in. We already see it because they already have the fight set up. So it's just kind of like, it's just weird, man. Like, yeah, I said, I think Turk Al-Sheikh has been great for boxing, but it's just certain aspects where it's just like, all right, man, maybe you guys need to just kind of hold back just a little bit. I get it. I get the excitement of having Tyson Fury back in the heavyweight division, because having him back is not a minus. It's a huge plus because it's just who he is. You know what I mean? Losing him in that heavyweight division, it kind of, you lost a little bit of luster, especially with situations like Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder kind of, having their little losing streak, minus obviously Deontay Wilder won his last fight. But, it was kind of looking a little grim there for the heavyweight division, minus Usyk and, Dubois. And then, you know what I mean? So, it's a great thing, but yeah, I just think that it's not a good look, but we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? Dubois knows what he needs to do at the end of the day. I think that should make it very, very clear to him what he needs to do. And then honestly, anybody that's the challenger going into a boxing fight, you never want to leave it up to the judges anyway, because we all know that they're always going to get the upper hand regardless, because they're the championship, they're the champions, so they're always going to get the benefit of the doubt. But this makes it even more clear that Dubois, you need to knock out Usyk. You need to put on the show, bro.
Yeah.
All right, just dominate in every facet of the match.
Yeah, I agree. All right, man. Let's talk about your favorite WNBA player, Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, let's do it.
There's been discourse about her voting. She's been voted the 9th best guard in the All-Stars. Now, I think that it has more so to do, and of course, they're going to say the ladies are hating on her and they're jealous and she should be on top. But I think it has more so to do that she hasn't played most of this season, and she hasn't been shooting well this year. She's like only at 30-something%, as far as shooting from the field. So she's not playing like an all-star, but I get it. It's Caitlin Clark. You're gonna put her in the game. You want to put butts in seats. I get all that. But how do you feel about this discourse?
I don't like. It's always going to be a thing with Caitlin Clark. Like, everything's going to be a bigger deal than what it needs to be. I think at the end of the day, I haven't personally seen this list. So I don't know. As far as like who's above her or anything like that, I haven't personally seen it. But look, man, Caitlin Clark is a special, talented player. We all know this, man. Like, she's a talented player. There are certain aspects of her that I'm not a fan of. It's not so much her game; it's more so her attitude and the way she conducts herself on the court and off the court a little bit. Not like she does anything wrong, but it's just more of her mannerisms. Like, when she don't get the ball, her flailing the arms, having an attitude. Some of the back talking she does to the refs that a lot of people complain about with a lot of other NBA players and WNBA players and stuff like that. I just think, especially with all the injuries that she has had this year, you can't really sit here and say she's been the best, guard. I think there's been a lot of other better players like Paige Buchers. Obviously, she is killing this year for a rookie year. Ladies like that are definitely above her currently at this state. But I just think it's just at this particular moment, you're going to take a picture and a snapshot of what is currently happening in the sport. And currently right now, she's not the best one currently right now because she's been out for a considerable amount of time with the Fever. And then honestly, it says a lot that the Fever are holding in there. Like, they played some bad games and some really good games. Like, they blew out the Aces like the last week, but then they'll have some bad losses here and there. And overall, I think that team is kind of,
they won the tournament, the little Commissioner Cup too.
They won the Commissioner's Cup against probably the best team in the league with the Lynx and Nafisa Coley. I think it was a weird game for Nafisa. Like, she normally doesn't have games like that. You wouldn't expect that again, but they're the best team in all of the WNBA. So you got to tip your cap off to the Fever. I think the Fever have been playing amazing ball. You got to, I know Sophia Cunningham has had a pretty bad rap, but she's been balling. Kelsey Mitchell has been balling. Aaliyah Boston has been balling. So you got to tip your cap. And then you assume when Caitlin Clark gets back, like I said it before, I think when this team is loaded, I think this team is up there with I think the Lynx and all them that I think they can compete. I don't think they'll win the championship because I think the Lynx will be just because of based off what happened with them last year. And low key, I still think they should have won that series with the Liberty because I think there were a couple calls that didn't go their way that should have went their way. But at the end of the day, man, like this team is primed for a nice playoff run if Caitlin Clark can get healthy. Now, obviously, she's dealing with a groin injury right now, but I don't think it's disrespect. But her fan base is always going to take it to the extreme.
Yeah, they're a rabid fan base. But like I said, they're gonna say the women are hating because she's top, of course, in the fan vote. Like she's the top. She's
always gonna be number one for a while until the likes of like Juju or even Paige is gonna slowly catch up to her and stuff like that.
Paige is balling right now. But the players, they watch her, they see, and they're like, hey man, I don't feel like she's the best guard right now. There are other women out there killing it. Paige Beckers is killing it. Sonia, Cintron is killing it right now. Kelsey Mitchell killing it right now. Like, you just, it is what it is, man. There's really nothing you could do about it. Just she's still going to be in the All-Star game. I don't know why her fan base, Dick Vitale, shut up. Just go sit your old ass down.
What did Dick Vitale say?
Pretty much said the women are jealous. And
oh my god!
Yeah, he
it's crazy I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you think?
I feel a rant coming in, but I'm gonna try hard not to. Like Dick Vitale, you're a legend in the college game. You're a legend in basketball. I'm glad you're doing a lot better with your health. You dealing with cancer and stuff like that. I will always send my prayers and well wishes to you, my brother. I hope you're doing well. But this whole perception that women are jealous of Caitlin Clark is ridiculous, dog. At the end of the day, I don't think it's a jealousy thing. I think it's more of an annoyance because it's just the level of disrespect that some of these people are continuously talking to these other females like they are beneath Caitlin Clark. Like, you need to kiss the ring. Like, you need to, she's not a Lannister. This isn't Game of Thrones, dog. Like, at the end of the day, you want competition. Like, people view her as like, all right, I think it should show us a level of respect that people want to go up against her and give her the best game, that people are going to be physical with her, that people aren't going to take her mess. At the end of the day, that shows a sign of respect. Michael Jordan had to deal with it. Kobe had to deal with it. LeBron had to deal with it. Dwayne Wade, Allen Iverson, the list goes on and on. We've never complained when Michael Jordan had to go through the bad boy Pistons and he was getting his butt tore up every single time. When he was getting tossed around like he was a rag doll. And you know what people said about Jordan? You gotta figure it out. You're gonna have to either hit them weights. You're gonna have to reintroduce some different things into your game, whether it's post up moves, learning how to shoot the three, whatever the case may be. You can't just go in there and be a high flying act because Bill Laimbeer is gonna clothesline you. It's the same thing with Caitlin Clark. She's gonna have to be more physical. She's gonna have to be more cunning in the way she handles herself and whatever. She's gonna have to take that because it's all part of playing basketball, the physicality and all that. And when you watch the WNBA is kind of coached a lot like the way the NBA used to be back in the 90s. And that's why I appreciate the WNBA game, because they allow the physicality. They allow the mess talking. They allow these women to actually be competitive basketball players. That is the whole thing with this sport that I think the NBA gets lost. You got to allow people to talk their mess. It's all a part of that. It comes from the culture of playing street ball. Like, it's all part of that. It's all a sign of respect. As long as people aren't throwing punches and trying to hurt each other, it's all fine. But at the end of the day, you got to allow the physicality in the sport. That is what attracts people to this sport more and more. Like, have the finesse game, but also have the physicality. You got to have a healthy balance when you're calling these NBA games. And I think the WNBA is doing an amazing job. But these Caitlin Clark fans and stans and stuff, like, y'all gotta relax, bro. It all comes with the territory. No one's disrespecting her, saying she's a terrible, terrible player. But at the end of the day, she's gonna have to learn how to handle this physicality, and she will. She will get better because of that, and she could potentially elevate to be the greatest of all time because she has the talent like that. There are a whole bunch of players like Nafisa Collier, Asia Wilson, Paige Buchers. There's people on her team like Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston that are on her level. You got newcomers that are coming in like Juju Watkins and all those ladies who are going to come in and they're going to want to take the crown. She doesn't have the crown right now. You know who has the crown? Those Liberty chicks. They got the crown. So you're going to have to take that crown from them. Caitlin Clark hasn't earned anything yet but an all-star bid. And congrats to her. Congrats to her for making the WNBA bigger. She is one of the causes of that. Angel Reese is one of the causes of that. So tip your cap to these ladies. But don't disrespect like these ladies don't have any importance into the WNBA game. That is not the reality of the situation. Caitlin Clark is a big proponent, big percentage of that. But the rest of these ladies also play a big percentage in the way the WNBA is heading because look at the expansion. It's not, Caitlin Clark wasn't the reason because of that. It wasn't just because of her. It's because of what these ladies have done to this league to help it become the game it is today and more inspirational for young ladies to play this sport. You know what I mean? People got to understand that. And, you know, big up your Caitlin Clark fans. That's cool, but just be a little bit more understanding of everybody in the situation that's going on in the league.
Yeah, I agree. All right, man. Let's talk about your boy Drake. Friday, he dropped a new single called "What Did I Miss?" Dropped a whole video, where he's by the pool with a bunch of assault rifles and things of that nature.
Yep.
Then he had a second part where he's like in this little cooler ice room with a bunch of ice because his new album is going to be called Iceman, so that's the theme of it. I guess he's going to be like, I'm a cold blooded, you know what I'm saying? I'm the Iceman. Now the song is pretty much a reflection of all the people who have turned their back on Drake since the Kendrick Lamar and him and Drake beef has started. He's recounting all the people that he's done favors for, even talking about I provided bad women for y'all, all the features I've laid for y'all. People, he mentioned the pop out, people being at the pop out, being next to my haters, I guess, talking about Kendrick. And yeah, man, one of the lyrics, is like asking me how did it feel. I can't say that it didn't surprise me. Last time I looked to my right, you ninjas was standing beside me. How can some people I love hang around ussies who tried me? Later in the verse, it says it was love for my brothers and blank to a traitor. Let's, and yeah, like I said, you mentioned the pop out and all that stuff. How do you feel about the song, man?
Overall, I enjoy the song. I think the song is cool. I'm more of a fan of the second part than I am the first part, especially when the beat switches. I think that might be a weekend. I think it's the weekend in the background as far as like on the beat or whatever. But anyways, I enjoy the song. I played the song. Everybody knows that I thought Kendrick won in a landslide, especially with everything that happened. So I'm not gonna sit here and deny that, but I think Drake. This song is good. A couple of snippets of some other songs on the album sound really good. Do I think, as far as the whole messaging in this song, do I think it's a little bit too late? I do. I personally think this is probably maybe 6 to 7 months too late. But at the end of the day, let him get this off his chest, and then hopefully the rest of the album will be more of just normal Drake stuff. Me personally, I'm burnt out on this Drake Kendrick going back and forth stuff. I think right now Kendrick is, overseas killing his GNX tour with SZA. I went to that concert. It was amazing. I think Drake, I've always said it. I think Drake just needed to disappear and then just come back and just be Drake, man. Just drop some hits, bro. At the end of the day, you're not going to lose your fans. You're going to have your hardcore fans. From here on out, there will always be a separation between hardcore Drake fans and hardcore Kendrick fans because those people are always going to stay on those sides. I find it kind of idiotic to me that if you are a fan of both and then that you want to choose a side just because of this whole battle, I think you're super sensitive to the whole situation. And I think you need to get over it, because I'm gonna be honest with you, Kendrick don't know you, Drake don't know you. It shouldn't really bother you too much. At the end of the day, you should be able to enjoy both of these gentlemen because they're both great artists. They're both Hall of Fame rap artists, some of the best to ever touch the mic, no matter what you want to say. We can all attest to that. You cannot take that away from both of these gentlemen. It just is what it is. But I'm hyped for it. Like, I think Iceman, I think it sounds good. Like, if this is gonna be kind of the bop that we get as far as like just the sound of it, I like it. This sounds like Drake to me. This sounds like this be cool. I just don't want to hear him talk about the whole Kendrick thing. I don't need a whole album of that. I really hope it's not that. Hopefully this is just the one song that is about that, and then the rest of it could be about, you know, him dealing with females and all that type of stuff, you know, make a summer bop, whatever the case may be. Because, you know what I mean, I think he's in a great spot. Hopefully he's in a great mental spot, and hopefully he can just, you know, be who he make the music that he wants to make. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, he can always have his personal feelings with certain people, whether it's LeBron, Future, you know, Kendrick and all that. He has a God-given right because he's the one that had to deal with the whole situation. But overall, I'm digging the song. I'm playing the song. It's in my rotation. I'm feeling it. I think it could be a vibe, especially in the clubs. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna be a vibe. And if anybody, people should acknowledge that. I think it'll be cool. So, yo, shout out to Drake, man. It's a great song.
I think it's the best song he's dropped in a long time. And like, the song, the beat and all that stuff is great. Even some of the lyrics are cool. The TLC line that he dropped, that was pretty fire. But I just want him to get over this. Like, you could tell this really bothered him. And my problem with Drake is this: you made a song called "No Friends in the Industry," so you should know that these industry dudes are not your real friends, dog. They're just not. It is what it is. People are gonna turn on you in this industry. They gonna show their true colors. They gonna play both sides. Why you think Travis Scott going through what he going through?
Yeah.
because Pusha T felt like he be playing both sides, and he ain't the only one. You know what I'm saying? It's just more visible with Travis Scott, but he ain't the only one to be playing both sides. And he ain't the only one that you'll see LeBron with this dude and then see him with this dude, and he know these two dudes got beef. And he ain't the only one. It's just, and I just think that Drake needs to just get over it and move on.
Let me ask you.
Get over it and move on, man. Take it on the chin, brother. It was an L. You took it. It is what it is, and move on.
Let me ask you a question.
Ask
you a question. Do you think he feeds off of just kind of his fan base and how, you know, obviously the conversation has not changed from them? Do you think he feeds off that? You think that's one of the reasons why he seems like he's still in this, in this mode of like, I need to still get this off my chest kind of thing to appease his fan base? Because it seems like his fan base hasn't gotten over it yet. Like, I still see it on Twitter every day. They still keep saying, "Oh, Drake did this," so Kendrick, Kendrick ain't hit this number or this and that, or Drake's number one again. See, blah blah blah. It's just it's always constant with his fan base. Like, do you think you think he responds because of that?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, he's very. I think Drake, respectfully, is very sensitive. You know what I'm saying? And I think that he's trying to paint this image that he doesn't care, but he cares. You know what I'm saying? Like, you keep making music and lyrics that continue to highlight. Like, this song is just a bopped up version of that freestyle. That's all it is. If you listen to the lyrics of that freestyle he dropped when he was just sitting at the piano, whatever, reading them lyrics, it's the same subject matter that he's going. What did I miss? He's pretty much saying, like, I did all this stuff for y'all and y'all turned y'all back on me. But my problem with that is I go back to, you made a song called "No Friends in This Industry." Of course they're gonna come to you and get a verse from you. Of course they're gonna come stand next to you. You're the hottest artist in the world.
Why act surprised now?
Why act surprised? You know what I'm saying? Like, it was hand in hand. You knew that if you stand next to Future, you're gonna get that Atlanta fan base. Future knew, if I stand next to Drake, that's gonna boost my sales worldwide, and it worked hand in hand.
He was part of it. He did the same thing to everybody else. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you can't just. I get it. I understand it. Even towards the end of the battle, when he, the the Heart remix and all that type of stuff, where he tried to steal all that. He kind of said like, I'm not even gonna be bothered. I'm gonna move on, and then he's still stuck like it was last year. You know what I mean? So like, you know what? I can't control how personally he feels. Like he still may feel some hurt by it. He still may feel like a real heart, because obviously he's still pretty hurt about the whole LeBron James thing. He thought they were probably boys and stuff like that. So he's probably still hurt by that. He might be really hurt by Future, especially with them collabing on a whole album. Maybe he thought they had a better, because he really assumes that these people were really friends. You know what I mean? Like he really seemed like he thought
And
they
you
had a
notice, and you
real
notice out
legit
of all the
friendship.
yeah. And you notice all the artists that have he claimed that he's thrown shots at those. The only person he's really never thrown shots at is Future. He's always
Oh
mentioned
yeah, I
that it
think he
hurts me
hurts him.
that
Yeah.
Future did this. He's never said F Future. He's always F Metro Boomin because he feels like he's being influenced by Metro Boomin. But and even Future after the song drop, he put a post out saying I'm gonna stay real to the people that I that I'm that I'm affiliated with, pretty much just answering what Drake said on the song. But look, man, he keep throwing shots at Kendrick, and look, he better leave that alone. Kendrick get off the tour
But I don't even think
and decompress.
I don't even think Kendrick wants to be bothered by this anymore. I think
He don't,
he's moved on from it. Me personally, like obviously he still has to finish his tour. He still has to do Not Like Us. I wouldn't be surprised if he's tired of performing Not Like Us at this point. I wouldn't be surprised by that. I think he probably wants to move on to his next chapter or whatever that may be. Maybe he might have some new music coming, next year or something like that. I don't expect him to put out anything this year, but maybe he has some features coming out or whatever. Obviously, everybody's anticipating, like, obviously we got the leak off the Clips album, but maybe he has more features coming up. But I don't know. I just really hope Drake got this all off his chest with this song, and he could just move forward, my brother. Just move forward, brother. At the end of the day, I think everybody just wants to hear great music from you. At the end of the day, as long as you put out great music, you will always be Drake. You will always be a #1 artist. You will always sell out arenas. You know what I mean? You could potentially do a Super Bowl, whatever the case may be. Obviously, Jay-Z has a lot of input into that. So who knows? Like, what I mean? Maybe you can start rebuilding some of these relationships. Obviously there is a chance you can rebuild a relationship with Future, maybe with Metro Boomin, depending on the situation. Obviously, there will never be a reunion with Kendrick, not anytime soon. Maybe when they get older, maybe they can, we've seen reconciliations before with as you get older. It's a possibility. I'm not saying it's going to be when they're still making music, but it could be like just, when they're like 50 or something, they could just move forward or whatever. But I think there's avenues for him to maybe repair some relationships if he chooses to go that route. But it seems like Drake will always be forever petty in this moment and stage that he don't want to do that. So I think he's just going to take it personal until then. But hopefully the rest of his music can just be a move forward moment, and this could just be the only song that has to deal with anything of this topic.
And Drake, nobody's scared of you, man, about these putting them assault weapons by the
I don't get that shit either, bro. I don't get that shit either. I think there was a lyric that Kendrick said about that in one of his, I think it was a Euphoria or something. I don't know, but anyways,
you're not scaring you're not scaring nobody with that, bro. And on your live stream when you was trying to check old boy, like, that wasn't scary.
Just make great songs, Drake. That's all we're asking for, man. Just make great songs, bro. Because anybody that's still talking about Kendrick and Drake and that whole beef and stuff, y'all need to get to 2025, bro. Y'all need to get to 2025, bro. Like, enjoy the rest of this year, bro. We're already halfway through, and it seems like it's already. I feel like we should still be in March, man. We're already in July, and August is gonna come real quick. So, man, get to 2025, man, and catch up.
Yeah, man. Let it go. All right, man. Let's do our top 10 college player power ranking draft stock. Now, I'm gonna explain this to you. So, in this draft stock, this is a power ranking for each week. You know what I'm saying? So players can drop, they can rise, they can drop out. You can put new players in this power ranking. Is it like Stephen A is fluid? This is fluid, So if you feel like a player ain't playing good on your draft, he drop all the way out, and you put somebody, I noticed this dude, he balling. Put him in your list. You know what I'm saying? And then at the end of the year, We can match it up to what you look like in the first part of the year to the end of the year, and who you feel like, hey, this guy could possibly be a first round pick. This guy could possibly be, whatever. He dropped. He might drop out of the first round because he ain't played good this year. So this is how we gonna do these power rankings. So I'm gonna let you go first with your
Okay.
list.
So I'm gonna start at number 10. Number 10, I'm gonna go with Nicholas Singleton, Penn State running back. I think 220. Runs a 4.3. He has all the tools to be a great running back. Obviously, he hasn't been really a workhorse. He hasn't really needed to be a workhorse, but I think he should be a guy that you should pay close attention to. Ruben Bain, a Miami edge rusher, I think you should also pay attention to. I think he's a very explosive guy off the edge. So I'll keep an eye on him. Christian Miller, Georgia defensive tackle. Obviously they're always going to have a heavy rotation of DT guys and edge rushers and stuff like that. So they're not going to put up the numbers that you would want to see. But I think it's a guy that I think he has all the tools that could be really great. Number 7, I'm gonna go Drew Allar, big quarterback. I think it was like 6'4", 6'5" quarterback. We saw some of the arm strength that he had. Obviously, I would still like to see a little bit more with Drew Allar as far as consistency, throwing the ball, accuracy, and stuff like that. I want to see the numbers from him, especially from a Penn State quarterback. It's the thing with Penn State quarterbacks where you don't see the numbers, where it's just kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, he might have it, he might not, but I got to see it, man. I think Penn State has a great squad. I want to see him put up some great numbers. I want to see him compete for a Heisman Trophy. You know what I mean? If he can do that, he can definitely move up. Number 6, I got Anthony Hill, Texas linebacker. I think he could be legit great. I think that whole Texas defense is swarmed with talent, but I think he could be one of the key guys that can get them to a national championship. TJ Parker, Clemson edge. I got him at number 5. Another talented edge rusher. Definitely somebody got to keep an eye out. Offensive tackle from Miami, Francis Mugwai. I apologize if I butcher your last name, but we all know them Samoans in the front line. They're some of the best. So, I say keep the tabs on him. Number 3, Harold Perkins, man. I think Harold Perkins is an amazing edge rusher. LSU deep squad. I think he definitely could be have a chance to move up. Number 2, I got Caleb Downs. I think Caleb Downs is the overall best player in this draft. He could be one of the best safeties in there for a while. He gives you a little bit of Earl Thomas. He gives you a little bit of Ed Reed. I think he has all those kind of characteristics of him, and he is a dog. So I think he definitely is going to be one of the top players in this draft. And then number 1, obviously, Arch Manning has to be number 1. Obviously, there are rumors that he may not come out in this draft, but you have to put him number 1 because he is eligible if he does want to come out. And then just with the hype with Arch Manning, I think you have to put him number 1. He's a quarterback. Quarterbacks will always get more hype than any other position in the league. So I think he has to be number 1 going into the season right now.
So on my list, I didn't put Arch because there's already too many things saying.
Yeah, but he's still eligible. I have to put him in there. He's eligible. He can change his mind.
I hear you. I'm just saying
sure.
on my list until I hear that he's coming out. And then same thing with Lenore Sellers. Lenore Sellers is another one I heard he's not coming out either. He's going to play till 2027. So
that's
so number 10 on
nasty dog.
Yeah, DJ Lagway.
It's
gonna be nuts. Jeremiah Smith, Ryan.
Yeah, bro, that might be the greatest draft in all the 2020s, bro. Everybody about to be tanking that year, bro. If you even semi bad, like, all right, bro, just go ahead and take the L, bro. They might have to do a lottery that year, bro, for the NFL. They might have to.
Sure. So number 10, I'm gonna go Cornell Tate, wide receiver, Ohio State. I think he had a pretty solid season. I think he's definitely gonna propel himself now that Miko Bouquet is gone. He's going to be the number 2 wide receiver to Jeremiah Smith. So, yeah, I got Cornell Tate. Jordan Taysom, he got hurt in Arizona State. He got hurt. They were missing him. But he is a really good wide receiver for Arizona State. And, I think that they're returning everybody. So, except for, of course, the running back, Cam Scatterboo. But him returning to health, and he has a big season. Don't be surprised if he's a first-round pick. Number 8, I'm going to go Jeremiah Love, running back, Notre Dame. Dude is a baller. He has all the physical tools. He's fast. He's big. Like, he can do it all. So, I like Jeremiah Love. Number 7, I'm gonna go Peter Woods, defensive tackle out of Clemson. This kid has Chris Jones type ability. Like he's a Samoan kid, but he's got that kind of ability. Number 6, I got Drew Alla. I'm with you on that. I got to see the numbers. I got to see improvement. I got to see improvement with his accuracy and his turnovers. We got to see him put it all together. Number 5, I'm gonna go Garrett Nussmeyer. I want to see him take that next step forward. Can he propel himself to be a top quarterback coming out next year? So yeah. Number 4, I got T.J. Parker, edge rusher out of Clemson. Another baller on that Clemson defensive line. That defensive line is gonna be nasty because they got another kid named Garrett on that defensive line, or Barrett on that defensive line. That's gonna be nasty too. So number 3, Caden Proctor, offensive lineman out of Alabama. Alabama's always going to produce a good offensive line, defensive line. So
Not a,
number 2, I'm gonna go Cade Klubik, out of Clemson. They're gonna be, one of the top teams, and they're gonna really be looking at Cade. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the pundits, they like Cade Klubik, so we'll see. And then number 1, I got Caleb Downs. He's the best player in this whole thing. The only thing that could stop him, God forbid, is an injury. You know what I'm saying? Outside of that, this kid has everything. He can play in the box, he can play deep. Like whoever gets this kid, they're gonna get a superstar.
100%.
So,
He potentially one of the best safety in the NFL in the coming years.
but of course, I get Arch Manning. He's gonna be on Texas. We'll see how he looks. You know what I'm saying? This is gonna be a more bigger sample size. But I do feel like that they want to develop him more. I think the Mannings are gonna play this safe. I don't think they're gonna rush him. Now, if he has a great year, like you said, if he has a Joe Burrow type year and he throws for 6,000 yards and you know what I'm saying, has 50, 60 touchdowns and 600 yards on the ground because he can run, then we'll have a different conversation. But um, right now, I'm just I want to
I
see,
hear you. I
you know
hear
what I'm
you.
saying, if that's gonna happen, how he's gonna play this
No,
year.
I hear
So,
you. I hear you.
but I think he's gonna be great. Don't get it twisted. I think he's gonna be great. But
I hear you.
we'll
I
see.
just think let's just say everybody moves to the 2027. That draft is going to be so deep. That might be like 2 rounds of just first round talent deep. You know what I'm saying? Like it could really be that deep as far as like next year. So I think whether it be a slim possibility, I just think there's always a slight chance. As I said, it all depends on how Arch Manning plays. Like if he plays amazing and this Texas team just makes it look easy and they just go to the national championship and he wins the Heisman, why not? Like I like you're going to be the number 1 pick for so long, and then if you have a down year, I think that's more detriment to you at the end of the day, especially with all the talented players that are going to come out that following year. Like DJ Lagway is going to come out, like Sewers is going to come out, like all those other quarterbacks, they're going to come out. Like so I don't know, it'd just be interesting. You know what I mean? As far as like honorable mentions, I think Nico could be potential that can hop in the top
Yeah.
10. I know there's been a lot of conversations with him, negative conversations, especially how he handled the whole Tennessee situation. Obviously, we weren't in those rooms, so it might have been the best situation with him. He's going to be over at UCLA. If he can make UCLA very respectable, they play our Rebels here early in the season, so that's definitely a game I want to see him live. I definitely want to see how the Rebels handle that situation, because I think Nico could be a I think he can be a really good. I think he has all the qualities to be a good quarterback. I think the second half of that year, he really didn't produce the way he did in that first half of the year. You can kind of tell. Like I think that Tennessee defense is one of the reasons they made it to that national champion, not the national championship, but the playoff situation. But Nico needs to show
Mm.
improvement. Like he needs to show consistency, throwing the ball, being able to make his reads and stuff like that. So if he can make this UCLA team any kind of respectable in that Big Ten, I think it definitely boosts his stock up for sure.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Another player. Uh, Look, I know we're down on him because he didn't have a good year with Georgia, but Carson Beck can resurge himself if he has a good year with
Yeah.
Miami. He can do that. You know what I'm saying? That he can surprise some people and go to Miami, ball out just like how Cam Ward did. If he has a season like Cam Ward, he's going to be a first round pick. I'm not saying he'll be first overall, but he'll be a first round
Yeah,
pick.
that ACC conference it could potentially be a lot tougher than what people assume. You know what I mean? With Clemson,
Yeah,
then we got to see what North Carolina looks like. South Carolina had some great wins
Mhm.
last year. Yeah, that conference could be interesting to watch. It could be a lot better than what people anticipate.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. All right, man. Let's do our bet US Surefire picks,
Let's
man.
do it.
All right, man. What you got?
So I got a quick three. First one, I got soccer in the FIFA Club World Cup. We're in the semifinals. Big game tomorrow. We got Real Madrid versus PSG. I'm gonna go with Real Madrid money line over PSG. I think they'll find a way to win that game. Today, I got the Giants money line over the Phillies, and then I got the Astros -1.5 with the Guardians.
For sure. I got a 3-pack too. I'm gonna go Dodgers over the Brewers, Padres over the Diamondbacks, and the Detroit Tigers over the Rays. All right, bet y'all. Where's it at? Pull this up. If you look at the screen, you see the QR code to the Bet US website. Go ahead and scan it. Uh, First time users only. You sign up, put all your information, put the promo code JOIN125. You get 125% sign-in bonus plus 10% gamblers insurance. That's 3 risk-free bets on your first 3 deposits on $100 up to $5,000. So on your first 3 deposits, if you bet $100 and you lose, you keep your money. So you can keep your money or you can win some money over there at Bet US. So go ahead and sign up. Tell them Chris Alamo sent you. And that does it for our Bet US short five picks. All right, man. And what's this Carnival Cruise new rules?
So, Carnival Cruise, they've been known as one of the, party cruises. We've seen videos of our fellow brothers and sisters enjoying themselves, stepping, having a great time on Carnival. We've also seen, some videos where there have been some fights breaking out, some mishaps on these cruise on Carnival Cruise. So, Carnival Cruise decided to, make some new rules. And some people think that it is generated towards one specific group of people. So some of the new key rule changes that they have made is curfew for minors. Guests age 17 and under must be accompanied by an adult age 21 or older and must vacate public areas by 1 a.m. unless participating in supervised team program. Obviously, there is no zero tolerance for violence. Carnival has reinforced its commitment to safety and strict zero tolerance policy for violence and disruptive behavior. Passengers involved in such incidences will face lifetime bans. They've also prohibited items like Bluetooth speakers, handheld fans, which can create noise and disturbances. Obviously, we've seen that with everybody partying on the ship deck. They've also made restrictions to their clubs and music and dancing. There are new guidelines regarding music, particularly a ban on hip hop and rap music, and restrictions on dancing in public areas. This that has been one of the key ones that has sparked a little bit of controversy. They've also and they're also going to focus on environmental protection and safety measures, ensuring that all guests are aware of updated expectations and stuff like that. So, just some of the rules that they have added to their new stuff, and it sparked a little bit of conversations. People thinking that it's aimed directly towards the African American community, especially with the no hip hop and no dancing. Um, what's your overall feels with that situation?
It's bull. Straight up bull, man.
Mhm.
To let people have fun, man. Well, that's what I'm here on this cruise
Yeah,
for. I want to have a good time. I want to party. I want to listen to the music that I want to listen to. So you gonna take away hip hop? Y'all about to lose some business. I'm telling
yeah.
y'all. Who you think gets on them Carnival cruises?
Mhm.
Huh? Old people and black people. Y'all about to lose some money, y'all. They gonna get rid of these rules. Watch.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen a couple of videos where people have been on recent cruises, and you could tell that especially some of the clubs have been, dance floors have been pretty empty. Doesn't seem like people are having as much fun as they used to. I get it in the sense of trying to have a more inviting environment, as far as like, obviously you don't want to see fights and stuff like that on the cruise ships and stuff like that. I get it, but at the end of the day, if you're going to be a party cruise, I think you should look, if you have a predominant black crowd on there, I think you should, if they want hip hop music, give them hip hop music. You know what I mean? Obviously, there are different forms of hip hop music. Like if you want to, control it into no like, gang violence style music, I understand that. You want to keep it to more of a party aspect. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's not a good look. At the end of the day, hopefully they relook at some of these new laws and new rules for their ship. I don't get I understand the Bluetooth speaker thing. I get it. You don't want to, you out there trying to relax, and then you over here hearing some music that you don't want to hear. I understand that situation. I don't get the handheld fans thing. I don't get that. I don't get that part at all. Like, you're on the ship deck, you may be hot. I don't understand what the problem is with you fanning. I know there's been conversations about that, because I guess there's a dance where they pop the fan or something like that. It goes in with that. But yeah, to limit dancing, I think that's just weird. I'm like, let people have fun. Like, at the end of the day, everybody's out there to have a great time, enjoy themselves on the boat, get a tan, have some fun, have some relaxation, get away from real life things. And Carnival is not allowing that for people to just be able to have fun. I think it's just weirdo behavior. I expect them to lose some business, because in certain aspects you are pretty much focusing on one particular group, especially when you say no hip hop and stuff like that. I think it looks specific in a sense like that. The dancing and all that, like, it seems very specific. But at the end of the day, I don't know how long these rules are going to last. But if they lose business, they will change it. So, everybody knows what they need to do. If you're really offended by these new laws and rules that they have implemented, then, speak with your money. Because at the end of the day, that's what's going to change policies. And maybe they can do an addendum as far as like, the rap music and, the dancing, and, just keep it more controlled. I get it. Some of these party cruises that I've seen, I've never been on a cruise, but some of the videos I've seen, it does seem like it does get a little out of control, especially, you out there with your family, you want to kind of just relax, you want to chill. Maybe you can have maybe a section of the boat where if you want to do the dancing and stuff like that, maybe you can have more of a controlled environment, stuff like that. It's a possibility. Them boats is huge as hell, so I don't see why you can't have a situation like that where you can have like a different part of the deck, where if you want to have like more of an adult party scene, you can have that situation. Casinos do it, hotels do it. I don't see why cruises can't do that either. So I think there could be a happy medium for both aspects.
Yeah, for sure. We shall see. All right, man. Let's go into some little NBA news, man. Yeah. Big trade went down involving your team. The Clippers, Jazz, and Heat have agreed to a trade that sends Norman Powell to the Miami Heat, John Collins to Los Angeles Lakers, and Kevin Love, Kyle Anderson, and a 2027 Clippers second round pick to the Jazz. How are you feeling about this?
Well, it just definitely reaffirms that the Lakers tax is real. You know what I mean? They wanted like a first round pick for John Collins, and they only gave up a second round pick. At the end of the day, you give up Norman Powell for John Collins. I don't really understand that. And then now there are rumors that the Clippers want to add Bradley Beal and Chris Paul. I don't understand that situation at all. I don't know why anybody on the Clippers would like that situation. I don't think that helps the Clippers. Number one, it gets them older. It makes them really old. You already have James Harden, who's already brittle. You have Kawhi Leonard, who's already brittle. Chris Paul is 40 years old. He's heading into his last year. And Bradley Beal has injury problems and can't play defense. So Norman Powell, who was a stretch guy who can play some sort of defense. I'm not saying he was like a top-notch defensive player, but he could slide them dogs for sure. I don't know what benefit the Clippers would have with just having a whole bunch of names that people are very familiarized, and you just, you go in with that. I wouldn't consider them a championship contender, not at all. Like, yeah, you did sign Brook Lopez and stuff like that, but Brook Lopez is a little bit older. He may be a stretch five, but I don't really think it helps their back line. Like, James Harden isn't a defender. Kawhi Leonard, he is getting older. He can still defend, but he's not as you can't rely on the consistencies with him as he ages. And then again, Bradley Beal don't play defense, and Chris Paul don't play no defense no more. So I don't understand that. I wouldn't get it, but if that's the route they want to go, that's fine. But it also does just show how much people want to tax the Lakers in that situation, and then obviously it shows that Rob Pelinka. I don't know what Rob Pelinka is doing. Like I could go on a rant right now about my Lakers, but I'm not going to do that. I'm gonna save that for the Hell Naw. But it's just kind of situation. The Jazz, I don't know what the Jazz are doing as well. I don't get it, but it's kind of is what it is right now.
Yeah, it looks like the Jazz are just like whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. Like again, like these teams. Like I think Danny Ainge is a successful president, GM, all that. But again, you cannot tank. We've seen these teams that tried to tank this past year, and they got the 5th and 6th pick. And you saw the Dallas Mavericks, who made the play and get the number 1 pick. So obviously, tanking isn't the answer. Obviously, if they want to get older, but you didn't get older because you got Kevin Love and all this type of situations. I'm assuming they're going to probably buy him out. So I guess that could free up, a little bit more cap space, and maybe they can make some other trades, and maybe obviously they're looking into the future. But again, the Clippers, I don't know what the Clippers are doing. I have no idea if this is the route they want to go by signing Bradley Beal and Chris Paul, by trading Norman Powell away. That's not really going to help your franchise. You resigning James Harden, I don't think that really helps your franchise. You kind of already know what James Harden is. Like, yeah, he can produce in the regular season, but in the playoffs, he's not going to be the player that can get you over the hump. So, again, I just don't know what direction that the Clippers are going. I really don't.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the Miami Heat won this trade.
Yeah, honestly, they did.
They got better. I'm not saying that they, championship contenders, but Nolan Powell will bring some validity to that team with him and Bam Abayu. And now they got a nice, decent little 2-man crew over there. You know what I'm saying? So
with the addition of Tyler Herro and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
how do you feel about? Let's say Bradley Beal doesn't go to the Clippers and he goes to the Heat. Do you think he makes them better?
You add more offensive firepower, because I think that's some of the things that the Heat have been lacking, is a little bit of offensive firepower. It does help him. Again, would I want Bradley Beal to be my starting 2? No. If he's coming off the bench, I think he could be an excellent 6th man. It does help in a sense with just offensive wise. Again, the East is pretty top heavy at the end of the day. You know what I mean? You got the likes of the Magic, the Pistons, the Knicks, the Cavs, the Hawks look amazing. I still think the Celtics could be relevant in a sense. Like, you still got Jaylen Brown, you still got Derek White, you still have a great, a decent head coach. Like, they could still be very, very respectable. I don't see why the Miami Heat can't, play in for the 7th, 8th seed. You know what I mean? Obviously, I still think they're a playing team, but they could surprise. You know what I mean? They could surprise and maybe get the 6th seed and get out of that. So it should be interesting. I said I do like this trade for them with Norman Powell, but we'll see with Bradley Beal. We expect him to get bought out. There's going to be some suitors for him. I think the Bucks are going to be a suitor. I think obviously the Clippers, the Lakers. I've heard about the Mavericks. I've heard about the Heat. I think he even heard maybe the Pacers as well. I wouldn't sleep on the Knicks either. Maybe the Knicks might sniff on that, because I think they need to add more additions to their bench. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe you saw the Knicks maybe get involved. But again, it all depends on where Bradley Beal. I think you should take a hint in where he might go with who he would have accepted the trade for when he was still under contract with the Suns. And those teams were, I think, the Lakers, the Heat, and I want to say the Clippers. I could be wrong about that, but I think those are the teams that you should kind of look out for. So,
for sure. Well, we'll see, man. All right, hold on, give me 1 second. No, did not want to do that. All right, man. Let's do our top 10 fantasy QBs, man. Fantasy league is creeping up.
yeah.
So give me your top 10 quarterbacks that we should be looking to draft this season.
Yeah, for sure. I'll start at 10. Number 10, I'm gonna go with Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young has a really good chance to have a really good year. Like, I've been saying it all season. I'm a big Bryce Young guy. I like the way this team is set up. He has some great receivers, young receivers. We still got to see if they can produce with McMillan and all that. But I think he has a great chance. He can use his legs. He can get. He has mobility. He has scrambling capabilities. He has an arm. So I think that helps with fantasy point wise, especially PPR. I'm mainly going in PPR mode with these rankings. So I like Bryce Young. I think he has the capabilities of doing that. Number 9, I got Jalen Hurts. Obviously, his ability to run. They still have the capabilities of using the tush push. That tush push did not get banned, so he's going to have the capabilities on that goal line to get all those points with the touchdowns. Obviously, he still has an arm. He does have some inconsistencies with his arm, but he still has a great roster around him with Saquon Barkley, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. So I think he should be able to still produce at a high number. So I think he could be a great, solid fantasy quarterback. Number 8, CJ Stroud. I think he has the potential to move up this list. Obviously, the offensive line still scares me, but I think with the key additions he has in the draft with those 2 Iowa State wide receivers, I think Nico Collins is one of the best wide receivers in the game. I think CJ Stroud could have a bounce back year. Hopefully, he can stay healthy. Number 7, I know Patrick Mahomes has been kind of saying he's on this world tour of revenge. I don't know why. No one said anything drastic about you, brother. But I got Patrick Mahomes, number 7. Obviously, he's had a couple down years. The only thing that scares me is the interceptions with him and the inconsistencies with that. But Patrick Mahomes has the ability to be anywhere from this number to number 1. He has the capabilities to be in that. We all know Patrick Mahomes. So obviously, with him getting Rashid Rice back, Xavier Worthy having another year, we all assume this is Travis Kelce's last year. So people assume that he's going to try to go out with a bang. And we all know Patrick Mahomes is going to try to show him as much love as possible. This O-line I think is still decent. We still got to, figure out that the left side, right? Left side of the O-line that you guys were having problems with. That was the left side, right?
See if the rookie or the guy that we signed in the offseason is going to start.
Obviously, that's the only thing you got to kind of worry about. And then obviously the running game, the consistencies with that. I think if they can get a solid running game, I think that also helps Patrick Mahomes with the numbers. But I think he could be anywhere from 7 to 1. Number 6, I got Dak Prescott. I think Dak Prescott is going to have a bounce back year. He's always a great fantasy quarterback. Obviously, he was injured for majority of last year, but I think with the addition of George Pickens, you got CeeDee Lamb. I think, and then the tight end ain't bad either. I think he can have a solid year. He's always going to be able to use his legs, so I can definitely see him having a decent year as far as fantasy wise. Number 5, I got Jaden Daniels at this spot, and this all depends on the Terry situation. Obviously, there have been rumblings that there's been no contract talks as far as moving forward with Terry. Me and you've already stated this a couple pods ago that the Commanders need to go ahead and give him his money. He's deserved that well. But if Terry gets his contract situation, I think Jaden Daniels can move up to as high as 2, maybe even 1 for me. But right now, just with that situation, that scares me just a little bit, because if you lose Terry, all you got is Debo, and you got a couple other players, but I'm not really a fan of that. So I got Jaden at 5. Number 4 might be a surprise. I got Caleb Williams right here at number 4. I think there's no more excuses for Caleb Williams. He has the talent around him. He has the receivers. He has the head coach to call the plays. There is no excuse. He has a better O-line. It's all on him. If Caleb Williams is able to produce, he's going to be a top fantasy quarterback. He will be a top fantasy quarterback. It's all on him. So that's why I got him at number 4. I expect him to be a lot better than what he was last year. And then I think 3 to 1 is easy. I got number 3. I got Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. He's going to be fine. The only thing with him is the only reason why he can't be number 1 is because he don't really use his legs like that. Number 2, Josh Allen. Josh Allen is always going to be top tier fantasy quarterback. As long as he stays healthy, he can be 2 or 1. And then number 1, I got Lamar Jackson. I think Lamar Jackson is the best fantasy quarterback, and he has been the best fantasy quarterback these last couple of years.
For sure. So I got 2 honorable mentions. I got Baker Mayfield as an honorable mention. I think that his offense is going to be big this year with all those receivers, Bucky Irvin, Ronald. I forgot the other running back's name, but I think that whole offense is going to produce numbers. So I think Baker Mayfield is somebody you should be looking at. Kyler Murray is another one. I think the second year Marvin Harris Jr., Trey McBride. I think that offense will still be solid, you know what I'm saying? And Kyler Murray, with his legs, with his arms, he's going to put up fantasy numbers. Is he a top tier? But no, he could be a guy you can probably pick 10th, 11th round. You need a quarterback or you need a backup, whatever. Kyler Murray's on the list. All right, number 10, I'm going to go Dak Prescott. I think that the potential of this offense can be really good. And, they always playing from behind. So, of course, he's going to put up the numbers. But I got to see him stay healthy, and I got to see him put it together with CeeDee Lamb, and George Pickens. And I got to see this running game. I got to see if this running game is going to help accentuate his strengths, which is play action pass. Number 9, I'm gonna say Justin Herbert. I think Justin Herbert is gonna put up some bigger numbers this year with
Mm.
Lad McConkey second year. Um, why you looking like that, man? Amarion Hampton out the backfield. I think he's gonna, be able to catch out of the backfield too. Trey Harris. I think he's gonna surprise some people this year. Rookie wide receiver out of Ole Miss. I think the offense is going to be solid, and I think that when you got Justin Herbert, he's going to put up some numbers. Number 8, I got C.J. Stroud. You got Nico Collins. He's going to be healthy, and with those two rookie wide receivers and Newell and Higgins, they should be better on offense. Now, this offensive line, they added some pieces on this offensive line, so we'll see if it's better, especially in the interior. But we're gonna have to see first. So, but I got C.J. Stroud. Number 7, I'm gonna go Caleb Williams here because I still got to see it. Yeah, Ben Johnson, he was a good offensive coordinator. Let's see how he looks as a head coach. There's a big difference. We've seen many of genius offensive coordinators become our head coaches, and it don't translate. Just because you got a great offensive mind, don't mean you got a good head coaching mind or motivator. So we'll see. If he can motivate Caleb Williams and make Caleb Williams go, then you're right. He could be a top 5, top 3 quarterback in fantasy. So, but I still
Mhm.
gotta see it. Number 6, I'm gonna go Patrick Mahomes. We got to see what's up with Rasheed Rice, how he looks on that leg. Xavier Worthy taking the next step in the second year. Hollywood Brown, can he stay healthy? Juju Smith is older. I do like the rookie Jalen Royals. We'll see if he can get in this offense. And like you said, Travis Kelsey. What will Travis Kelsey provide in this offense? He looks like he's motivated, trying to get better shape for training camp than usual.
Mhm.
So we'll see. And then, like you said, the running game. Can Isaiah Pacheco look like Isaiah Pacheco? What does Kareem Hunt provide to help Patrick Mahomes? So, he hasn't thrown 30, 40, 50 times. And Andy Reid, too. And run the damn ball, nigga. Pitch my man some bail over there. But,
Yeah.
just, we'll see if we can get a little bit more balanced attack. Try to get back to that 20, at least that 2020, Patrick Mahomes that threw, over 5,000 yards. And, he wasn't bombs away, but he was efficient. So if we can get to that, Patrick Mahomes, he could be a good fantasy guy. Number 5, I'm gonna go Joe Burrow. I do think that he's gonna put big numbers up, but I do discount the legs. He's not gonna run a lot, but he is gonna be playing from behind a lot. So those numbers are
Yeah.
gonna boost her up. So don't worry about it, people. He's gonna be putting up 300-400 yards, 4 or 5
Easy.
touchdowns because he's
Easy.
gonna be behind. So
Easy.
definitely top 5, and you might be top 3 by the end of the season if they keep playing the way they. If that defense is bad, and might be worse than last year. So, and they got a new defensive coordinator, so we'll see. You know,
Mhm.
Number 4, I'm gonna go with Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts. He's a good. He's gonna be good. It's always that unevenness with Jalen Hurts, you know what I'm saying, especially in the regular season. Like in one game he'll look like amazing, and then one game he looks kind of mid, and it's just like,
Mhm.
okay, whatever. He just does enough to win the game. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes that could be
Mhm.
detrimental to your fantasy league. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like he can have a game where he's only 123 yards passing, but he ran for 125 and got 2 touchdowns on the ground. So
Right.
we'll
Right.
see. Jaden Daniels, I think that he can have a big. He is Jalen Hurts 2.0 to me. Like I think that he has a better arm. He's faster. He's bigger. So I think that if Jaden Daniels can, add to what he did last year in his rookie season, and you're right, I think the Terry McLaurin situation will get handled. I think that'll they'll be fine by the regular season. So I think they'll be handled. The addition of Debo Samuels, I think Debo is motivated. He looks like he's getting in shape. You know what I'm saying? My man TL said he was 3 cheeseburgers away from being fat. So I think with the addition of Debo Samuels is going to help out Zach Ertz. You know what I'm saying? This offense I think is going to be a little bit better. Yeah, I got Jaden Daniels. And then, like you said, Josh Allen. Yeah, whatever. Running the football. He can pass. Yay. Whatever. And Lamar Jackson. Whatever. Dude can throw it.
Yeah.
He can run. Both of these guys are like fantasy league freaks. If you get him, then you probably picked him with your first pick.
Yeah. And honestly, I got another guy that he should be in the top 10, but I gotta see the consistency with him. Like he should be in the top 10, and that's Jordan Love. Jordan Love should be in my top 10 list, but I gotta see the consistency with him, man. He's just so inconsistent. Like he has the talent to be a top. He has the talent to be a top 5 fantasy quarterback. He really does. He has the legs, he has the arm, and he finally, has like a better receiver. I think that can help this receiving core out. But I got to see the consistency, man. You know what I mean? It really this Green Bay Packers team really hinges on him. And if he can produce, this Green Bay Packers team could make some noise in the NFC. But it all comes down to him, and that consistency is very, very key. And there are other names, like obviously there are talented guys like Kyler Murray and all that.
Yeah.
That if they can find the consistency, that I think they could be great as well. But
if
my
Trevor Lawrence can get back to what he looked like his first 2 seasons,
yeah, him too.
he is a guy that you could put on your, or even if he's your starter. You know what I'm saying? If you don't, you're like, well, I'll wait for a quarterback because I want to load up on running backs and wide receivers and whatever. Trevor Lawrence is a guy that you could probably take a flyer on. You know what I'm saying? He's definitely a sleeper. If you really want to live dangerous, you probably had to wait a few games. Cam Ward
Yeah,
in Tennessee.
Cam Ward too.
You can see because they actually have a decent receiving core over there. So if Cam Ward, it looks like anything he looked in Miami. You know what I'm saying? And me and Maul think that Cam's going to be really good. Especially how these rookies are looking in their first year. You know what I'm saying? Nobody thought Washington was going to be what they were. So if Cam Ward can have anything inkling close to a Jaden Daniels type year, he's another guy you could possibly, slip on. You didn't even got to draft him. He's probably going to be sitting there still.
Yeah.
Like you'd be like, hey, man, I need a quarterback for 1 week. Let me go and pick Cam Ward up, put him on the team, whatever. I think him and Calvin really could possibly have a good, rapport, and you know what I'm saying. They got some other good wide receivers on that team.
No, yeah, I love that choice. I love that choice that you said with Cam Ward. He definitely could be one of those guys where he may start off slow, but as the season goes, he looks a lot better. There's a lot of videos where he's making NFL style throws. Man, he looks incredible. Obviously, it's not against live. It's not a live game or anything like that. Right. Like that will come in due time. I'm excited to see him. I'm sure we might do a list on the top 10 players we're most excited to see during the preseason. We can do something like that, but he'll definitely be on my list as far as like I'm very, very curious to see how he looks. And I get it; it's only preseason, but it still means something to see him. See the progressions and him making the throws that we all know he's capable of making. So
another one is Jared Goff. You gotta show love. Oh, another one is I don't even know why Matthew Stafford.
No, the thing with Matthew Stafford is, yeah, he can, but he just never stays healthy, and he can use his legs. I think he has the capability of using his legs. I don't know. It's just inconsistencies with Matthew Stafford sometimes, and just every hit seems like he breaks his ribs. Like every hit, you know what I mean? He's always holding something after every hit. So I think that's a scary situation. But if he can stay healthy with the likes of Kyron Williams, Puka, and Vontae Adams, I think he can have a surprising fantasy year for sure.
A guy who I don't expect, but he had a really good year last year. I know we kind of look at him like maybe he's a 1-year wonder, but maybe he sparked something. But if Sam Darnold could put it together in Seattle, he's another guy who could be a sleeper. Michael Penix is another guy that could, possibly.
Let me ask you this question. Forget the players that you should pick. Give me your top 3 players you think that fantasy players should stay away from as far as in the quarterback position that people may think they may be hard, but you think that they shouldn't even consider them because of the situation.
Oh man, that's a difficult one. I mean, of course, anybody from the Colts. Stay with me. Quarterback from the Colts. Anybody from the Saints? No?
Those are obvious. Those are like obvious guys.
But you say top. I know he's in my top 10. But I wouldn't be mad if you said Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I'm staying away from Herbert.
I wouldn't be mad. I would understand if you said Justin Herbert.
Brock Purdy.
Yeah, he's another one. He's kind of on that. He's on that line, like because I saw it and I was like, it depends on what Brandon Ayuk we get.
Yeah.
If Brandon Ayuk could come back and look like Brandon Ayuk, then Brock Purdy can have a really good year. And if George Kittle, I know he gets banged up a lot because it's the style of play that he plays. Very physical, tight end, blocking and running or whatever. But if Kittle, Ayuk, if Ricky Purcell can take that next step in his second year, then Brock Purdy could put up some numbers. And he could be a good fantasy quarterback you could pick up. But I'm not betting
No,
my fantasy
hell
league
no.
on that. So stay away.
Between
Stay away.
between these two in fantasy, who do you think you can trust more, Bo Nix or Drake May?
Because I'm gonna say I'm gonna edge, but I'm gonna say Bo Nix. I'm gonna say Bo Nix right now because I don't know. I don't know if Drake. I don't know if they were added enough. We got to see what Stephon Diggs looks like at 32, coming off of an ACL tear or Achilles tear, wherever he had. But we got to see how it looks. You know what I'm saying? And then after that, you got Boodle and Kyle Williams, who's a rookie. like their receiving core is not that great. Their running back room can be really something, but their receiving core is kind of like you got a older wide receiver coming off a major injury. You got a guy who's a third-year player who was kind of in the doghouse with Bill Belichick, and they kind of started finally using him last year. But we'll see if Vrabel even likes him. Because you know what I'm saying? Like Vrabel might not even like him. And we'll see how Kyle Williams look in his rookie season. So I'm gonna roll with Bo Nix because Cortland Sutherland, he's more solid. You know what I'm saying? He's a solid wide receiver. Marvin Mims Jr., he's cool. We'll see if Pat Bryant can crack the starting lineup, but we'll see.
Yeah, I just think people hype up.
I think didn't they get RJ Stevens or RJ Harvey?
I think so. I think they might have got him.
RJ Harvey could play a pivotal role in the passing game too. So I'm gonna go with Bo Nix. I think he's and then I think Sean Payton is slightly better coach than Brady.
I agree with you. I think in certain aspects, I think especially Patriots fandom, I think I'm not saying Drake May is going to be terrible. I just think they hype him up a little bit too much, a little bit too much. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you look at these numbers, he was 225 out of 338. He had a 66 completion percentage. He only threw for 2,200 yards. He had 15 TDs, 10 interceptions. Like, I don't know, man. And then he already had a concussion. He already had one concussion. So how much are they going to use his legs? How much are they going to try to keep him healthy? How much are they going to use that run game? I feel like Vrabel is going to kind of run the football out the air type situation, play action pass. Fantasy wise, I don't think that fits in fantasy. You know what I mean? As far as like quarterback, you know what I mean? Now, as far as like the regular season, like normal play, they could win some games. I think that defense is young. I think that defense could be one of the best. I think they got talent all across the board with that defense. And I know Vrabel will have that defense ready. So they could win some games based on that defense, but fantasy purpose wise, I'm staying clear away from Drake May. I'm not touching him at all unless if I'm desperate.
A super flyer only if you want to need a quarterback for 1 week and you're in a big league, like it's scarce. You could possibly put Justin Fields on your bench.
Justin Fields, that would be your kind of like Hail Mary if you need somebody situation.
Mm-hmm. I could because he can run, he can use his legs, and the receiving core is not bad.
Yeah. If I had to do a Hail Mary for 1 week, a name that might surprise somebody looking at this list, I'm gonna surprise you, dog. I'm gonna surprise you. I'm gonna go with Daniel Jones, man, with the Colts. I've seen him put up numbers. I've seen him have stretches where he can have a good game here too. I don't think Anthony Richardson is gonna win that starting position. I don't think. There's going to be something that comes up with Anthony Richardson. I wouldn't be surprised if Daniel Jones is starting by like the first quarter of the year. I wouldn't be surprised. And I've seen him have a couple good games here and there where he can use his legs. He has better talent around him than he does with the Giants. I'm not saying he's going to be like this all Pro Bowl quarterback, but if you need a game, fly Hail Mary. And we all know those quarterbacks are going to be taken up. Like, so I'm assuming like there's no quarterbacks like the likes of like a Bryce Young available, or Michael Penix available, hell, even like an Aaron Rodgers or anything like that, even a Tua. I say Daniel Jones. I think he might be able to give you a game where he can at least get you a win, help you get enough points to get the win, because he will use his legs. He has shown to use his legs even after the knee injury.
Yeah, we'll see. What about Russ? You staying away from Russ?
I gotta see a couple games first with Russ. I think obviously this is gonna be receiver wise. He probably has one of the better receivers with Malik Neighbors. So, and I think Russell Wilson can still throw the deep ball to a degree. It's just I don't. For one game, maybe. I could see maybe one game, because maybe if Malik Neighbors has a great game, then Russell Wilson will have a great game. The only thing is with him is he throws a lot of interceptions. He really doesn't use his legs like that, and when he does, he's not the same. Doesn't have the same mobility like he used to. So we'll see. But Brian Dable, some people got him as a QB whisperer, so maybe he can get a lot more out of Russell Wilson if he is the starter, and he might put up some decent points. So we'll have to see on that.
For sure. All right, man. How you feel about Patrick Mahomes saying that Max Crosby is the best pass rusher he's ever faced?
I like it. Put some respect. He knows what's up. Those two have those two highly respect each other, man. You know what I mean? They talk their shit on the field, and we seen the clips of what was it, the Netflix QB, where you know what I mean, he kind of said Max Crosby gets under his skin the easiest out of anybody, and Max talks a lot of mess, but I think those guys truly genuinely appreciate playing against each other, especially in the division and the rivalry that the Raiders and Chiefs have garnered through the history of the NFL. You know what I mean? It's one of the better rivalries for sure. Yeah. Obviously we got to elevate our stance as far as like being a more consistent winning team, kind of get to the same levels of the Kansas City Chiefs, where you guys were, you guys weren't known as winners, you know what I mean, until you guys got Patrick Mahomes, but you guys have earned the right to be considered, one of the better franchises. So as long as you have Patrick Mahomes, you've always had the respect. So we just got to get up there. You know what I mean? I think that's one of the big keys with Max Crosby. He wants to be able to compete against Patrick Mahomes in bigger games. And, as I said it, I think a scenario where it's a situation where we have like a Chiefs Raiders AFC Championship game. I don't think it could get any better, man. The hatred and the rivalry and those two fan bases going back and forth with each other for that week would, I'm sure me and Cris would have the best week ever with a situation like that. Both of our teams playing for the possibility of going to the Super Bowl, and hopefully one day we can get that, and hopefully Max Crosby and Patrick Mahomes can be a part of that game. So it's all respect, man. At the end of the day, man. So you got to salute Mahomes for keeping it real.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. You got anything else?
Nah, man. Excited for college playing. Get off here and play some college football 26, man. Can't wait. You know what I'm saying? So, ready to.
You gonna stream it live?
Yeah, I might stream a little bit. I'll probably stream once we get off, man, and play a couple online games, man. Maybe see what Ultimate Team feels like, and a little bit of Road to Glory. So, check me out, Molly Mall _ LV Twitch, man. So check me out.
For sure. All right, man. Hold on. All right, man. Who gets your flowers?
So flowers, I got a little trifecta. So number one, it goes to all the people involved in the Texas flood. You know what I mean? A lot of tragic stories out there. So I definitely want to send some flowers to you guys. Prayers, condolences. A lot of damage out there. A lot of lives were lost. So I hope that community finds the healing and the prayer, and hopefully they can get I know it won't be the same, but hopefully they can get some normalcy back there, hopefully soon, sooner rather than later. Number two, I'm gonna go with Naomi Osaka. She had a press conference where, it seems like she's pretty down on herself, man. We gotta remind her that she is a great winner. I know she's been going through a lot. Obviously, the separation with her and her baby father. Obviously, her dealing with the kid,
Cordier.
Yeah. And so I just want to send her well thoughts, prayers. don't ever think negative of yourself. I know you've been having some struggles in tennis, but you are a great champion, and I hope hopefully mentally you can get back in a space where you can be more positive about yourself, because there's nothing negative about you. And then number 3, I want to give it to Diego Jota, the soccer player who lost his life last week in a tragic car accident, him and his brother. I believe he played for Liverpool, if I'm not mistaken. So I want to send prayers to him, his family, all his teammates, all the fans that were big fans of his. And I'm sure it's a sad situation over there. So I definitely want to send my flowers to that family and friends and fans as well. So
For sure. You know what? I ain't really got no flowers today.
for sure. No love from Cris. I get it.
All right, I ain't got the sound bite for the flowers, so we just gonna go to Hell Naw. So we got.
So for Hell Nah, Rob Pelinka, bro. I don't know what the fuck you're doing, bro. I really don't know. You've lucked out with the DeAndre Ayton situation and him getting bought out by the Portland Trailblazers, but this whole Jackson Hayes situation where you kind of took a little, or you paid him a little bit more, so now we can't use our full level BLE. I think it's crazy. We still have holes. The whole situation with Dorian Finney-Smith, him getting a 4-year contract, 2 guaranteed, the other 2 non-guaranteed. I don't know why you couldn't get that situation resolved. We still need and help desperately need of a 3 and wing guy. It's just been very silent. You know what I mean? You've been very meticulous in everything that you've been doing, but I think in the wrong ways. This anticipation of, setting the Lakers up for 2027, I get it. But at the same time, you have the likes of LeBron James, you have the likes of Luka who are ready to win now. Austin Reeves ready to win now. I think you got to find that healthy balance, and you're not doing it, my brother. So right now, currently, the way we're sitting, I think, obviously, there's always a chance with Luka and LeBron. I think Luka's going to have a revenge type of tour. So even with Luka, I think we could still be a high quality team. But I just think that the Rob Pelinka is kind of like just laying his head on this lucky Luka trade that he was presented by, probably one of the worst GM decisions ever, that he's getting lucky on with the Cooper Flag pick. And honestly, he lucked out with DeAndre Ayton. And obviously with the whole situation with the Bucks, in that situation, we lucked out that we didn't have, if the Bucks were available, I think he would have went to the Bucks. So I just think Rob Pelinka hasn't done a great job, and I think it's rather when than if that I think he will eventually get let go by this new ownership group that's going to take over.
For sure. It's been a week. I ain't got no Hell Naw.
No Hell Naw, no nothing. Hey man, so Cris is just even kill. I feel it.
Yeah, oh, you know what I want to give a Hell Naw to? I do have a Hell Naw. WWE.
What they do?
You're cramming all these damn PLEs, these pay-per-views together, and you shortchange Evolution 2. Evolution 2 will be going on next week, right? Now, if those don't know, that is the all women's pay-per-view. They haven't had Evolution in years. So this is the second one that they've had in years. And they just crammed all these matches all together. No build. None of these matches have really any. Only one that has build is Naomi and Jade. All the rest of them are just thrown together. Just put it together. And not only did you throw it together, you pushed it to where you could compete with AEW, and you did it. They're going to be running against AEW's their WrestleMania at All In, which that's stupid. And the cherry on top is you're going to be running at the same time as a Beyonce concert, which will be across the street from the arena that you guys are playing at. If you're doing this just so you can be like, oh, look, the low numbers, the women don't sell. This is dirty business. And this is what we be talking about. Y'all trying to cram all these pay-per-views and put them all and then cram all this material. Space it out, man. You didn't have to do Evolution this fast. Mm-hmm. WWE, they have a storyline issue right now, and they don't know how to book their champions right now.
What is going on? It seemed like they were on a good run, but now It just seems like
because
everything's going
because they
backwards
just,
now.
you know what it is. Just because they're too busy worried about building moments instead of building storylines after the moment. They want to hit you with the bomb, boom, oh, but then they don't have no plans afterwards. Take for instance, New Day. The New Day was running stale, so they did this storyline where they turned him heel, turned on Big E. They had changed their whole trajectory to being the biggest heels. They were getting a reaction to where they couldn't even get on the mic without getting booed, and they did nothing with them for weeks and nothing. Then finally threw him in a match with the War Raiders to win the championship at WrestleMania, and the match didn't even matter. And then they get the tag team titles, and it didn't even matter. Io Sky, ever since she's won WrestleMania, she's barely wrestled.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Put her in these weird segments. You had Oscar right on the plate for her. Then you did away with that. Now we fast forward. Now we're getting Rhea and Io. If y'all have Rhea beat Io, boy, it's gonna be fire and brimstone. Jay Uso, you took the title off of him so you can get Gunther and Goldberg. You could have did that without the belt.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need the belt for that. Like, it's just certain way, and you know they blame TKO, whatever, but still, I'm not feeling this booking that they're doing. They did it, like I said, they want to book in the moment instead of, okay, we got this moment, but we need to have a storyline after this. We got to keep them interested.
Yeah.
And they just do not do that at all. And it's so spotty right now. There's some good spots in WWE, and then there's some bad spots. There's no healthy balance. Because I know it's not going to be perfect, but at least try.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I've always said, I'm sure it's hard to be a writer. I'm sure it's hard to be a booker for a wrestling corporation because there's no off season. It's not like a series where we got these 12 episodes and we can write for these 12 episodes, and then we get off season. We get to decompress. We can come back. We can write for season 2. They don't have that. They got to keep going and pumping out material, but you don't do that. You don't oversaturate yourself to a point where you're wearing yourself thin. So doing all these pay-per-views and all that stuff, that's not smart to me.
How many pay-per-views they do a month?
Well, think about this. When was Money in the Bank? Like 2 weeks ago?
Mm-hmm.
Now we got Evolution next week.
Oh, shit.
And then 2-3 weeks later, we got SummerSlam. A 2-day event.
When did that change? I always felt like it was like one pay-per-view a month type of thing, but it'd be like
It's been
spaced
going
out.
on it's probably been going on for a couple of years now. But still, it's just like all this content, a bunch of content, not always a good thing. Not if you ain't got a plan for it.
Or just elongate the story. Like, you know what I mean? Play the long game. Don't play the short game. You know what I'm saying? It's because it's
don't
like
be having your main character, you put a belt on somebody, and then it's like they in catering. They in
like
back. You ain't heard Io Sky. I get it. The language barrier. So what? You put her against somebody.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was saying, if you got a problem with the language, the crowd don't care about Io Sky's language. They love Io Sky.
Yeah. It's kind of like the way boxing was when you have certain boxers that just disappear. They got the belt, but then they just like disappear for a long time. UFC had this problem too. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, you got cats like Conor McGregor or John Jones who would fight once a year, and it's just like it's not gonna get it done. That's not gonna get the hype. That's not going to help the champion become more relevant and more of a household name. You got to be out there in front full force. You know what I mean? You can't just get the belt and then disappear for 6-7 months and not perform at all. Like, yeah, I totally understand it. I get it.
So, yeah, y'all get a Hell Naw because y'all got to do better with the booking, man. And stop booking for the moment. Okay? Yeah. And look, Street Profits, they got the tag team titles and Y'all probably about to get them titles to the wide six. The wide six ain't worked out since they've been here. They keep starting, stopping, starting, stopping. I get it. You want to show love to Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt was amazing. But the wide six thing, once it kind of faded away, it just don't matter no more.
Mm.
And y'all want to put the tag team titles on them? Whatever.
Yeah, I don't
Well,
know,
then
man.
if you're gonna do that, then let my man Montez Ford and Angelo have a good solo push. Both of them.
Yeah.
Karrion Cross is over right now. Everybody wants Karrion Cross to get put over, and y'all keep putting him in these segments where he's in the back. He don't even wrestle. He just in the back in whatever segment, being the little devil on somebody's shoulder, telling them, "Oh, you're not evil enough."
Mm.
That's his whole stick every week. Probably gonna do it tonight. And it's just like, what are y'all doing? Y'all got all this
Yeah.
talent and y'all don't use them. My man Carmelo Hayes. At first, I was like, all right, he paying his dues, I ain't tripping. But now it's kind of like, now he about to be in, he's starting to be in the wrestling purgatory where he ain't gonna matter no more.
They got to get rid. They got to get rid of this nostalgia, bringing back these old fighters, all these old wrestlers back. Like, I get the John Cena tour, but even that, in a sense, I think has been like a fumble. Like, just with certain situations with that, me personally, you know, I mean, there were certain instances where, you know me, I'm trying to get back into this wrestling shit, but even then, I feel like they've kind of fumbled certain situations with the John Cena shit. It's just kind of, they're trying to rehash old shit that is just like, I'm looking for something new, something refreshing, and then there are some wrestlers that do, catch my eye. Like I think there's some intriguing guys there, but yeah, it's tough, man. And then you going back to doing this Goldberg shit, and it's just like no one wants to see Goldberg fight, bro. No one wants to see Goldberg fight. I saw the clip of him limping down the goddamn ramp. Like, bro, that shit's not gonna end well, bro. Hopefully, bro can last the whole match at that point. You know what I mean?
I hope
So,
it's a quick match. Get in, get him up out there, slap him a couple times.
So just
Let him do
open
his
up the pay per
thing.
view with that. Open up the pay per view with that. You
Yeah,
don't want
just
that to be the main event.
chop him up. It's not even on pay per view. That's how they know. It's on Saturday night main event, so it ain't
No, it's a
even a
Saturday
pay
night
per
main event.
view. Yeah, it's not even a pay. They know what they doing. But you
Yeah,
didn't have to take the belt off of Jay Uso to do this match.
nah, you didn't. You didn't. That's just. And then Jay Uso is one of the more popular wrestlers in the whole entire, you know, lineup.
And
You know what I'm
then
saying? So why would you even consider that? That'll be insane. That'll be like when The Rock first won his chip and belt, and we all know that moment. It's just like you take the belt away from him a month for you to kind of start a story up because you want a certain fighter to fight fucking goddamn Andre the Giant, who's like 75 years old. That shit don't make no sense.
but it's just like, what are y'all doing? And then what y'all gonna do with Roman when he come back? I don't even know where he fits in any of this.
Yeah, like what's up with that situation? Ain't he supposed to be back soon?
He's
Everybody's
supposed to
expecting him
be.
to be back by like August, right?
He's gonna be back. Probably gonna have to be back in July because SummerSlam's in
Oh, so
August,
he
so
have to
he's
be
gonna
back.
have to
Yeah,
be
he
on
have to
some
be
type of
back sooner.
match.
Yeah. When do you expect? When do you
He's gonna have
anticipate
to
him
be.
to make his kind of like visible return?
He better be back tonight
You think he'd be back
or
tonight?
next
You
week.
think he needs to be back at least by the latest next week?
Yes, if you're gonna start a storyline with, you can't just put him in there. Like, you got to put
Do
him
you think it'll be?
somewhere.
You
Who
don't
is
think
he
they'll think
facing?
about like maybe he pops out at SummerSlam as like a surprise, like him interrupting a match type of situation?
Nah, they need to go ahead and insert him. Whatever you gonna insert him, is it gonna be seeing him and CM Punk versus each other or whatever? Because I don't even know where CM Punk goes from here.
Yeah, because Roman hasn't even been around since what, WrestleMania?
No, he came after that, but
Mhm.
you know, uh, I forgot what happened to him. I think he lost a match or something like that, and he's been away since then. So, but they got it. They're all over the place.
Where's your confidence level right
They're
now
all
with
over.
everything? What's your confidence level?
I mean, I'm not sitting there saying all doom and gloom with WWE, but there's just certain things and aspects, and I think that if you're going to be booking a weekly show, You got to be consistent.
Mhm.
And these writers, man, it's like they put their eggs in this basket and then they lag in another one. Like, like I said, titles in the WWE, unless you're, the WWE champion or the world heavyweight champion. Outside of that, even the way they book the women, the women's tag team championship, a mess.
And that yeah, it's crazy because I always felt like when I felt like back in the days, like the Intercontinental Champion was important. You know what I mean? You felt like the tag team champions were important. Like it was always a moment when they won it. You know what I mean? It was very memorable. Obviously with the heavyweight championship and all that, obviously those were very key. But yeah, all the belts had some significance to it. You know what I mean? Even the hardcore
Now, I
championship.
will say
Remember that?
this.
Remember the hardcore title? Like even shit like that. That had some
Mhm.
significance to that too.
I, I will say this. I think that Jacob Fatu brought in LA Knight. I thought the US title was pretty prestigious and people were fighting over it. Now they're kind of relying on this. They're not the bloodline anymore, but they still kind of relying on this bloodline type storyline because now Solo Sokoa has beaten Jacob Fatu for the belt. And Solo Sokoa has got his own new faction called My Family Tree, which is interesting. You know what I'm saying? I do like the added additions, and I think that they're going to be pushing for SummerSlam, not SummerSlam, but Survivor Series. I do think we get a team of Jacob Fatu, Tommy Tonga, Jimmy Uso, and Jay Uso versus Solo Sokoa and his crew. I think we're going to get that at SummerSlam. I heard that Survivor Series. I think that they're teasing that. So, um, but I'm just saying, man, just stop booking for the moment. Stop booking for the
I
moment.
feel you.
All right, good people. This has been an interesting live because we're using a new program, and so you know it's a little different. You know what I'm saying? But we got through it. Still a good show.
Mhm.
All right, good people. If you look at the screen, you'll see the QR code for the WWE shop. You can get your favorite WWE superstar, whether it be Roman Reigns or CM Punk, Seth freaking Rollins, LA Knight, Jacob Fatu, or Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Jay Cargill, Io Sky, whoever's your cup of tea. Go ahead and scan that QR code and go and get your latest WWE merch. And if you want to donate to our Cash App, you can donate to the Chris Mall podcast. Um, we'll greatly appreciate anything that you donate to our podcast. Also, Chris Mall podcast is available on all streaming platforms: Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, whatever you use to listen to your podcast. We are there. Also, if you're a first time watcher on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, that like button, that notification button. So when we go live on Mondays at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and Wednesday 9-ish Pacific Standard Time, you could jump in the live. You could, we want to hear from you. Talk about these topics with us. Tell me how you feel. How you feel about our draft stock list, our fantasy QB list. How you feel about what Paul Finebaum said, the NBA trade that went down, everything that we speak on. We want to hear from you, whether you agree, disagree. We want to hear from you. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And whatever social media platform you use, whether it be X, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Twitch, Facebook, whatever you use to do your social media on, follow us at Chris Dow and Mall. We will follow you back. We're just some regular guys who like to talk sports, music, movies, and all kinds of various other things. So go ahead and hit us with that follow. If you have critiques, feedback, or if you have a question or topic, and we like said question or topic, we will bring it up on the show. We'll shout you out on the show because we want to show love to those who show love to us. So go ahead and hit us up via DM, email, or our mentions. All right, good people. Until Wednesday, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, your next few days. Be safe out there. All you EA college football. I see y'all on my timeline already. Y'all getting hype. I see my man Maul. He about to jump on. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be a late bloomer. I probably won't jump on till later on this week. So till then, have a good week.